Jane Collins, MEP. Now, we are going to talk about Top Gear, but I do want to talk about the dark web as well today. As you know, Richard Huckle today has just been convicted of 71 sex crimes. He's going to prison for life. His abuse was carried out in Malaysia and Cambodia. His youngest victim was just 6 months old. He sold his vile images and videos on the so-called dark web for Bitcoins. But I'll keep asking the question. Ask Ant, he's a younger person than me. What is the dark web? I haven't got a clue. So we've tracked down somebody who does understand it, an independent cybercrime researcher and dark web expert, Chris Monteiro, to tell us more. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
I haven't got a clue. Not a clue what the dark web is. Will you please explain it to me and my listeners?
Sure, I'll do my best. The dark web is another name typically referring to the Tor anonymity network. So it's an internet within the internet known as the darknet, which is encrypted in such a way that not only is A to B communications encrypted, like when you go to a website that has HTTPS, but all the metadata is encrypted as well. So you don't know, you go A to B to C to D to E to F. And this creates a very sophisticated network, which is highly resistant against censorship and spying and highly conducted anonymity.
Okay, and what kind of stuff is in the dark web? They're not just pornography and child pornography, I presume. Conspiracy theories, those kinds of stuff?
Well, yes. The Tor browser itself is used for journalists and people who care about their privacy everywhere. But within the dark web itself, a lot of the content is cybercrime. Yes, there's conspiracy sites and there's some sites associated with whistleblowing there. But much of the content is to do with, say, fraud services, online drug trade, and even some illegal pornography, which is very, very unpleasant. And these two things often do go hand in hand.
So how do people find out about it? How do they get onto it? I mean, how would somebody like Huckle, for example, have found out about it? And then how would he have advertised this filth that he was selling?
Sure. So to get started with the dark web, you simply download the Tor browser bundle. It's perfectly legal and safe to do so, and recommended for many people. Yeah. However, the dark web is not some sort of uniform place where you can find all the bad things in one place. For example, the drug trade will not touch the illegal pornography. There's some overlap with the drug trade and fraud services, for example. So if you were, for example, trying to, subscribe to one of these very unpleasant sites with these images, typically that would be done through referral networks or other websites which are on the ClearNet.
So people would tell you, you want to look at this, come this way, and they show you the pathway. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's the idea. I mean, that particular ecosystem is highly based on reputation and referral because they get shut down otherwise, as they should.
Right. And therefore, have we got people who are trying to infiltrate the dark web all the time to keep an eye on this kind of stuff, or what? Or is it impenetrable?
Yes, there are, absolutely. No, there are. I mean, in a traditional investigation against a website, you might have a court order against the ISP, and you might compel them to turn over control or records. But when you're on Tor, you don't know where it's hosted, so you can't just call up an ISP as a police organization and say, "Let me in."
Okay.
You have to apply a whole bunch of different investigatory techniques. So this may involve fairly traditional type undercover infiltration type work, for example. It may involve hacking. It may involve social engineering. And it's quite interesting that the law enforcement tactics necessary to take down a site such as this are very similar to that of a hacker trying to take down a website.
Yeah, because some governments have actually employed hackers to do this for them, haven't they?
Absolutely, yes. I mean, there are different departments, for example, in the UK aimed at different things. I believe this is the National Crime Agency has a dedicated dark web task force. They're primarily focused on illegal pornography. However, they do focus on taking down markets and fraud services as well. Because when you're going after this sort of thing, you can't just be focused on a particular site. You often have to subvert the entire anonymity network as a whole, which creates a lot of fallout.
So what's the positives of the dark web? Explain to a Luddite like me, what's the positives? Because if it's just containing loads of people selling drugs and selling illegal child pornography, my knee-jerk reaction is close the bloody thing down. But you're going to tell me in a minute, no, hold on a minute, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, whistleblowers, Snowden, are you? Is that what you're going to say? I don't know.
Sure. Well, I mean, even if it were possible to close it down, which is not. I mean, for example, in China, they have what's called the Great Firewall of China, which is a highly adaptive network technology designed to censor. If you mention Tiananmen Square in China, suddenly you'll find your website doesn't load, etc.
Yeah.
They have a highly sophisticated system designed to shut down and intercept encrypted communications and communications of any sort. But even these things, China has been unable to stop access to source systems.
So positives then. Tell me what's positive about the dark web.
Well, it depends on your point of view. As someone who researches for example, the online drug trade, the online drug trade is basically the most regulated, the most transparent that the drug trade ever has been. Rather than meeting people in dark alleys exchanging 50 quid in brown envelopes, instead you have a whole vibrant system of reviews, purity testing, security, shipping, feedback, accountability, and so on and so forth, which actually creates a quite strong convergence of market forces, which creates a system which is quite safe for users, for example.
So somebody's going to say, buy ecstasy, buy it this way. At least they know when they drop it, swallow it, it's actually going to be what they think they've bought and not going to kill them.
Well, absolutely, yes. There is massively less violence related to it. Again, there is feedback and accountability. If you get robbed by a drug dealer or even stabbed by a drug dealer, who knows? What are you going to do? What's your recourse? Not much really. Whereas the entire online drug system has allowed for accountability, allowed for good customer service, and created a regulatory framework where governments have been unwilling to do so.
Fascinating stuff, Chris. Thank you for taking the time. I'm beginning to understand it. Thank you very much indeed. Chris Monteiro, independent cybercrime researcher and a dark web expert.